All right. What is IST? IST is a stablecoin. Why do we care about stablecoins? You may have heard there was a thing that happened to the stablecoin that was sort of dominant across the IBC ecosystem. We've been working on IST for more than a year. It is what you would imagine as like the first use case of the Agoric platform. So Agoric is an IBC-connected smart contract layer that lets you write smart contracts in JavaScript. And so you can build arbitrary DeFi things on top of it. Part of the plan for Agoric has been to sort of launch with one family of smart contract applications on top of it before we sort of open it up to the entire world, because Agoric is this like immensely sophisticated platform. Like the sort of kernel or operating system of the smart contract layer is 200,000 lines of JavaScript. It's this like really fancy thing that is going to be like a smart contract environment that like we haven't seen before, and it like builds on top of 40 years of work. But like our first demo of this is the IST stable token. So what are the like core features? It is an over-collateralized stablecoin. The basic mechanism design is very similar to multi-collateral DAI. Because it builds on top of, it is all built out of the Agoric framework. It's not built out of the Cosmos SDK or CosmWasm. It is this much more dynamic environment that allows for a programmability and extensibility of the issuance system, of the liquidation system, of all of the stuff, and that's mostly what this talk is about. And then it is the IBC native. It is an IBC native stablecoin mechanism. Like we want to be with IST what Maker is to ETH, the sort of root, leverage, debt-backed, decentralized, stable asset across the entire IBC ecosystem. Yeah, so mostly covered that. Okay, so like what are the pieces? We're gonna go. I did a talk at Gateway with Dean. That sort of was like an overview. We're going to go. This talk is going to focus more on like the bits and pieces that make IST work. So we have the vault system. The vault system is a CDP system. We have a parity stability module. You may hear about sort of the fluctuation in how much DAI is backed by USDC and how much DAI is backed by ETH and other liquid assets, and why that fluctuates. In order to build the system, you need to have a similar mechanism. We have this mechanism called build boost, which is mostly about, we'll come back to it, but there is a mechanism by which you can get small amounts of IST if you are a holder of the staking token or if you're a staked holder if you're staked of the staking token of the Agoric platform. We have a native automated market maker, because DEXs rule everything around them. We have a liquidation module that is plugged into that automated market maker, and then there is a stability reserve that is always sort of the fallback mechanism to ensure stability of the protocol under extreme volatility. So you think of vaults. So what is the vault user experience? The vault user experience is going to be, I want to, there's going to be an economic committee and a vote of build holders that determine exact collateralization ratios. But you imagine something like Atom. I want to have like mint $100 worth of IST. I need to bring $150 worth of Atom over IBC, lock it up in this vault. Now I have my vault. I can use those. I have this vault. My IST is minted to me. If I want to get my atoms back, I repay the IST. The collateralization ratio also determines like where you're going to be liquidated, and there's a liquidation penalty if you are liquidated. And so many of the same dynamics that we expect to see, that you see in sort of the ETH world, you're going to see around these vaults. You're going to have people arbing liquidations. You're going to have people scrambling to top up their wallets, when the market falls by 90%. We're gonna bring a lot of the fun and excitement of the sort of maker system to the Cosmos. Okay, this I think is the thing that is the most difficult thing when you're designing a stablecoin for people to understand, like, why do you need a module that says, hey, we're going to take US.
Could you say that?
You're going to take. Why do you need a mechanism? Okay, we want decentralized stablecoins. We have in a world where there are decentralized stablecoins, we want to back them with robust decentralized assets. We have atoms. We have Osmo. Why do we need this? Why do we need to bring in custodial stablecoins into this mix? And like, what is this? Does this make any sense? The most important thing to understand about all of this is that when the market is long, you expect the volatile assets to back most of the IST. As the market, when the market turns short, when we're in a bear market, you expect the main thing that is happening is people are buying, who want to buy those volatile assets at discount because they this is a great time to build up your position, and there's these great discounts on all these volatile assets that are getting liquidated during as the market goes down. And but you don't want to put your own, you don't want to open up new CDPs to do that. You want to bring over USDC and use USDC to arb the system. And so what you would expect is what you see with multi-collateral DAI, which is this continuous fluctuation between backing most of the DAI outstanding, between volatile assets when the market is in sort of up-only mode, and during periods of high volatility, and when things go down, you expect people to be bringing over USDC. And so a lot of work, collaboration with the Osmosis ecosystem, with the Atom ecosystem, et cetera, talking to Circle a lot. You also were going to have bridge stablecoins over, other stablecoins bridging over things like Axelar and Nomad and all this stuff. It's going to be up to build holders to, again, set limits on how much IST gets minted by each one of these potential assets, how much risk we want to take. But this is this sort of core mechanism. The reason why you need to have the Parity stability module is that it is going to enable efficient arbitrage and efficient retiring of debt during periods of volatility, and will maintain the stability of the asset. Okay, this is the thing that triggers everyone. So the first thing, because you hear, oh, I can lock the staking token of the platform. I can get IST. This sounds awful like Terra and Luna. Are you recreating UST? So why are we not doing any? Why none of this is happening? Obviously we're not doing that. Why are we not doing that? So first thing is you expect this value to be really small. You expect this mostly to go. So the way the protocol works is IST is native to the L1. It is a sort of a special enshrined stablecoin on the Agoric L1 that is run by Build. And so as long as IST is growing, or as long as IST is continuing to function, there is going to be a steady stream of IST from various fees to Build holders. And basically what you're saying is, I'm going to just take essentially I'm going to take out a loan against that future, which is that future stream of IST income that as a staked Build holder I get, and I'm going to use that future to get maybe something on the order of 1 to 5% of the dollar value of my Build, so I can start paying transaction fees, so I can start participating in the IST ecosystem without having to have any other assets. It's especially important when you think about the future in which IST will be where the full Agoric platform is sort of online, and you have NFT mints and all these and lots of other DeFi primitives, and all of your transaction fees have to be paid in IST, and you're I have Build, why don't I have any IST? And this sort of enables you to sort of get native access to the ecosystem. So that's the purpose of Build Boost. It is going to be, the expectation is going to be a very small portion of the total IST issuance. The Economic Committee, which is this.
Sorry, could you say?
All right. The Economic Committee, which is also this piece of the ecosystem, is also going to, which is sort of this enshrined set, elected by the Build holders of people who are going to advise on the parameters of IST. are going to set all of these things about like how much fees do you have to pay for this future loan to the protocol, what is the interest rate, what are the debt limits, how long do you give up the ability to unstake your build when you participate in this build process. You're going to be extending the period in which you can't unstake far beyond the typical 21 days. So another thing that is sort of a key piece of the IST ecosystem is there is an AMM on the Agoric chain. This AMM system mostly is there right now to support IST. It's supposed to be a place where you can buy IST, where the protocol will be locking liquidity itself. It's going to be the first place where liquidations happen. It is not intended right now to be like a real challenger to many of the other DEXs that are coming into Cosmos, but it allows us to not have the problems of having to sort of run the liquidation auction system. It seems we believe that this will be a more stable liquidation mechanism and a much more IBC native liquidation mechanism, because one of the things that we expect to happen is we expect to have most of the IST will be off of the Agoric chain. Most of the IST will be out in the Interchain on EVMOS, on Juno, on Neutron, on lots of other, on Osmosis. It'll be in Osmosis liquidity pools, all these places. So when liquidations happen, you need to be able to bring, so we're liquidating into the AMM pool, but we don't liquidate all at once. There's a control function that is constantly looking at how much the price oracle has changed, how much liquidity is available in pool, how the price in the pool has been fluctuating relative to the oracle, and we are constantly there's this continuous control loop that is trying to figure out how much liquidation to do at sort of every block. And so arbitrageurs are going to will be IBCing IST over, participating in these liquidations, also shoring up the collateralization ratios. But this is sort of a key sort of component of the vault system. All right. So sort of walked through what are the core bits and pieces of what makes IST really unique. A lot of people in Cosmos are building stablecoins. It's pretty logical that people are. You see them coming out of various ecosystems. And many of them are, especially with algorithmic stablecoins being so disfavored, are doing, why do I think IST is going to win? Why do I think IST has the potential to be the dominant stablecoin in the IBC ecosystem? And the real reason is, I think the competitive landscape of stablecoins is going to continuously evolve. And if you've looked at for instance, how Maker is coded, the way Maker was built is all of these widgets strung together that were basically code generated in EVM assembly and formally verified as connecting correctly together. It's this beautiful monument, but it's also it's essentially the people who built all of that moved on, and you're never going to see sort of major changes to that code base. One of the things that the Agoric sort of smart contract environment is doing, it's safety properties, it's extensibility, your ability to naturally write asynchronous contracts and reason about asynchrony and failure modes and all this stuff, is that we expect that IST will be very extensible. So, with DYDX coming to Cosmos, supporting interchain accounts, you will be able to have positions on perpetual markets that you'll be able to use as collateral with future IST upgrades. You can have liquidation insurance provided by other parties. We can liquidate potentially in the future on not just the native AMM of Agoric, but on Osmosis and other DEXs that will exist. The role of the AMM can be swapped out with a vote of the builder's DAO. So we could start out with this Uniswap V1 style liquidation mechanism in AMM. People will build new AMMs on top of the Agoric platform. those can eventually be swapped out, and that can have the same mechanisms with liquidations, with the protocol holding liquidity there. All of that stuff can be integrated. So my biggest concern relative to like all the other platforms is like Agoric was built for this. It was built for building these like extensible, complex, composable, multi-component DeFi ecosystem things, and is designed to allow like rapid development and rapid evolution relative to other things. There is so much we don't know about how IBC will work in the future, and I think the Agoric platform really allows us to build like a truly radical state-of-the-art stablecoin. So just like dive a little bit more into the details of what it is that we've got here. How does a liquidation work? You have this oracle. The oracle is providing a continuous feed of asset prices. I think we have another slide where I go a little bit more into detail about how the oracle works. So you have the vault factory, like think software factory object. You're putting assets in. You get an individual vault. You're continuously feeding into the oracle. As the oracle prices drop, eventually control over the vault is handed over to the liquidation mechanism, where the liquidation mechanism tries to liquidate retire as much IST debt as possible. That's essentially the model. People wonder, like, hey, another question that like continuously comes up is, oh, like how can you back a stable with an asset that's very volatile? It isn't, the whole mechanism for stability does not depend on stability of the underlying backing asset. What it depends on is whether or not you can efficiently arbitrage a price, the discount that exists during liquidation. So like, can you retire IST from the system? Can you remove IST from the system faster than can you remove IST from the system faster than like the price is falling and the value of your collateral is falling? And this is why we think Atom is a really good asset for this. Atom is traded on a lot of venues. You can be buying, a well-capitalized market maker can be buying discount atoms and selling them without actually having to transfer them, sort of instantaneously on multiple venues. So this should be a really robust mechanism for ensuring stability. In the event that that mechanism fails, there's also this protocol reserve of assets that can continue to buy IST and retire IST from the system when collateral, when prices are falling. This is sort of a description of the mechanism of if you are staking build, how do you participate in the system? And it's basically that every user of the system is going to be paying you IST. So again, the BLD right now is an inflationary token. There's like, I think roughly like 5% inflation right now on the Agoric chain. So there is some Agoric rewards. We do expect that as the economy takes off, eventually build rewards are going to be become less necessary, and IST rewards from people using these systems will eventually take over. But again, IST is this is like one of the advantages of having sort of a native enshrined stablecoin, is that you can deeply work it into the crypto economics and the tokenomics of the system. And so, if you hold build, you should be very excited about the sort of launch of IST. It is going to drive a lot of value and allow you to earn stablecoins for staking. This is just again sort of reiterating the stability mechanism. Over collateralization, liquidation, price oracle that is going to bring in prices from a lot of different places. We have this reserve, which is an initial capital allocation that it will actually be locked in the liquidity pools, plus gas costs, plus fees, continuously growing the reserve as the platform grows. And then also the build holders can sell build to build up the reserve as well. We have an oracle network. The oracle network is probably, it's still the thing that I think we have the most work to decentralized. We will have the build DAO will right now currently elects a set of oracle network contributors. They will constantly be pricing in USD, the price of the collateral. We've sort of worked with a bunch of people who are sort of big operators of Chainlink nodes, who are also sort of Agoric validators to ensure that we can like improve this. It can be extended, like we can add interchain queries and stuff like that, so that you could potentially get prices from like Osmosis and other dexes to inform this in the future. And so node operators are continuously submitting prices to an aggregator. Think very similar to like the Maker Oracle has been the inspiration. And then finally, we have this like sort of two-tier governance system. There is going to be a proposal soon for members of an economic committee who are going to be involved in tweaking some of the parameters in the system. We've already announced a contract with Gauntlet to help inform this. And so they are both like, so have direct control over these things like debt limits, collateralization ratios, and interest rates. And they can also propose like larger changes to the system. But also, like any Cosmos chain, or most Cosmos chains, we do have like sort of token holder governance. So they elect the economic committee, they add new collateral to the vaults. You know, if you think, if you think that your token should be there in the vault mechanism, you know, there's going to be this back and forth with the economic committee and the builders DAO to sort of add new collateral to the system. But it is expected to be dynamic. And then all of the code changes and upgrades, especially in the early days when any new code that has to be deployed on Agoric is going to require a full DAO vote. And then setting the reward weights, adding new liquidation mechanisms. So how do you get involved? We have a lot that we are looking for the sort of IBC and Cosmos community to get involved in. We are looking for alternate front ends. There are probably a few technical milestones that are like, that before that like really, but like should be soon before you can really do it. If you think about how liquidations are going to be working, you can see how MEV is going to play a really strong role in this. And sort of the naive sort of Cosmos mempool is not going to get us to where we want to be in terms of the stability and security of this platform, where you have these time localized events, i.e. the price of atoms just went down 30%. Now you have people racing to to add collateral to their vaults or pay down their IST debt, and then you have liquidation starting and people racing to arb the liquidations. So we need sort of a next generation mempool, all of this MEV stuff that like people like Mechatech and Skip are working on is going to be incredibly valuable to this ecosystem. And then, as I said, like all of this code is all open source. The Parity stability module, the DEX, the vaults. We are looking for contributors. If you are a market maker or just a whale, there's going to be a lot of opportunity to participate in this arbitrage system. We're looking for people to write tools for this. We have this like event coming up called the Economic Stress Test, which please reach out to me, where we're going to be like sort of simulating how does all the software perform under different volatility conditions and giving people the opportunity to test out. We might run this continuously even after we go into production. If you're bridges, we're looking for all of the people who are building bridges to be participating in our collateral onboarding process and to move IST beyond the IBC ecosystem. And then, you know, we are very excited about sort of order books, delta neutral stablecoins, building on top of perps, building on top of all the new DeFi primitives that are coming to Cosmos. So I believe that is it. So we have these, we have been embracing the IST time, the IST meme for us. The Twitter account is Interprotocol. We've been doing relatively regular community chats, but we are excited to do this. You know, we're pretty hopeful that we'll be live for Cosmoverse. That's what we're hoping for. This is continues to be like sort of our overwhelming position as an engineering community. And then we have inter.trade is sort of the first website sort of describing the protocol, and we have the @interprotocol Twitter account, and we have a Discord chat. All these things are pretty active at this point, but really excited about more community participation. Please reach out to me. And this, I think, is going to be like one of the biggest things for Atom utility going forward. And so really excited to bring more people into the community. I can do a few questions, or people can go to lunch. Depends how hungry everyone is. Any questions? Here, let's try this.
So one question about stablecoins. I assume that there are going to be some stablecoins that are going to be lost. So in the final, there's like some deflation in that. What do you think about that? If really, or the amount of stablecoins can be like block or no?
Well, you expect the amount of IST to like be variable over time, right? Like as demand for like leverage goes up, like people want more leverage on, either people are like, hey, I have like a lot of my atoms are way up. I want to buy a house or a yacht or whatever. They'll go and issue a bunch of IST. Like one of the reasons why I think this kind of stablecoin has become such a key piece of like the DeFi ecosystem is because it gives you this like instantaneous access to leverage. Whereas in any traditional like lending protocol, you have this time mismatch between like the borrower is there, but the lender doesn't exist, or the lender is there, but the borrower doesn't exist. And so you either have idle capital or you have insufficient capital to meet demand, and you have this, and like it takes time for the capital to move. When you have a stablecoin protocol like this, yes, it in some senses it's less capital efficient, but like you don't have this time problem where you can immediately get access to leverage. And so this is what I expect is like, I think you expect to see like, and you see this with Maker, this like fluctuation in the amount of DAI that's out there. It just like goes with basically like how long everyone is on the protocol. Cool. Anyone else?
Why building on Agoric and not somewhere else?
So the question from Tom was why build on top of Agoric instead of somewhere else? And I think this is the key piece, right? Which is Cosmos SDK, CosmWasm, none of these things were really designed as these like Lego building infrastructure where you have this like complex protocol that is made up of many interwoven subparts that are linked in this like complex world, and then like also designed to work with like all of the asynchrony that comes from the IBC world. I think like building a liquidation mechanism, for instance, that like operates over interchain accounts and like liquidates that is like liquidating with over interchain accounts, that is talking to like a CosmWasm smart contract somewhere else, having like this kind of asynchrony friendly, easy to reason about control plane that like is both secure and extensible. It's like, to me, this is like the true stress test of the Agoric platform. And like, if the Agoric platform can do this, it can actually do all the other things that we imagine it'll be able to do. Which is basically allow us to build like sort of next generation DeFi. Yeah, absolutely. So I expect that like as the like liquid staking market matures with Quicksilver and Stride and like Lido and all these things, as we sort of get the liquid staking stuff figured out, eventually the dominant form of collateral is probably going to be the liquid staked assets, and not the native assets. But one of the things that you need is you need ARB to exist, and so that requires liquid markets for those assets to evolve over the next couple of years.
So would that mean you pay off your loan with the liquid staking asset?
Indeed.
Right?
Yeah. And like everything about the way the software architecture is built means that you could be like, hey, like there's cash flow coming to my liquid staked asset so that my vault is like sort of self-repaying, right? And that this is like why, again, like to like loop back, why this is like why Agoric, like why do this way, is because like the economic components that like we're going to keep building on top of like don't exist yet. And with every other way of doing this, it's going to be like, yes, you could like build this like Kava-like system on top of CosmWasm, and then if you want to change anything, you have to replace the whole thing, right? And you get all of the risks that come with like making these like large changes. the idea of, if you look at the IST code right now, everything is like nicely abstracted and componentized. So it's like, oh, I want to have a new kind of vault that has this like self-repaying mechanism, interacts with IBC and according to this API, and can be like, my Quicksilver, my QAtom, my QOsmo, et cetera, are going to be paying off that asset. You just are creating a new vault. You don't have to touch the rest of the code. There's like a defined vault interface, and it's not like, and it's just like Go was not intended for doing anything like this. Rust is also not intended for doing anything like this. So that, and Mark Miller and Dean and all have spent like the last, Dan Connolly and all have spent the last 40 years turning JavaScript into the environment to do this. And so we have the pieces to do this. And I think this is like, again, this is like why you do it this way. LTV? Yeah, it's going to be something on the neighborhood of like 1 to 5%. It's, basically we have to estimate like what the rate of growth of the IST ecosystem is and what we expect future IST cash flows are, because you don't really want to be like taking, because like you have some term at which you're expecting the, you can't unlock your BLD if you're doing BLD boost. You can't unstake until your debt is paid. But like you don't want people taking out like 30-year BLD mortgages, right? It's like a year is like roughly what you're looking at. Cool. Any other questions? Thank you very much. Thank you for your patience, everyone. Have lunch.